Tala had not always been hard as stone. Once she had laughed loudly, danced barefoot on sun-warmed rock, and traced constellations with her husband, Atsa, but Atsa's life had been swallowed by a flash flood the previous spring, swept away before Tala could even scream his name. Since then, her world had folded in on itself tight, empty, unforgiving. Her beauty, the kind that came from strength and lineage rather than vanity, had turned into a curse. Men from nearby towns, travelers, even a few within the tribal community approached her with gentle smiles that hid shallow intentions. They wanted a warm body, not the storm of a soul she carried within her. So she had built walls-thick ones. Walls Mateo, a wandering wildlife photographer who'd spent months documenting the sacred lands, had unknowingly stepped straight into. Mateo felt his chest tighten at her accusation. He had come offering kindness, companionship, the comfort of shared meals and quiet conversations. But Tala had seen the same patterns too many times to trust a stranger. "Tala," he said, his voice low, "I didn't come here to take anything from you." She shook her head sharply. "That's what they all say." The sky rumbled overhead, but neither of them moved. Tala's hands curled into fists as memories roared back the whispering men at the trading post. The pitying looks from widows, the way grief made her both invisible and painfully exposed. Mateo didn't step closer, didn't reach for her. He only listened. This more than words confused her. For days afterward, Tala kept her distance. She saw Mateo helping elders gather firewood, repairing a fence without being asked, photographing the land with reverence, not exploitation. He treated every person as if they were carrying a sacred story, not something to extract, but something to honor. Still, Tala's heart was a wounded animal, and wounded animals bite. When a sudden summer dust storm swept through the valley, Tala found herself trapped near the old arroyo with her horse spooked and rearing. Out of the storm's choking red haze, Mateo appeared, covering her with his jacket and guiding her to safety without touching her more than necessary. His voice stayed calm, even gentle, though the storm raged loud enough to shake the ground. When the wains finally died, Tala realized her fingers had knotted in his sleeve. She pulled away quickly, embarrassed. "You all right?" Mateo asked, brushing sand from his eyebrows. She stared at him, truly stared this time. "Why do you keep helping me?" she whispered. "Because someone helped me once," he answered. "And it saved my life." That night, Tala finally spoke her truth. They sat beneath the vast sky stars like powdered glass above them, while she told him of Atsa, of the flood, of the ache that filled every quiet place inside her. "I'm afraid," she admitted. "If I let someone close again, I'll lose them too." Mateo swallowed, his eyes soft. "Then I'll stay at the distance you choose," he said. "But don't let grief convince you unworthy of love or of being seen for more than your pain." His words struck something in her, something buried but not dead. Over the following weeks, Tala let herself breathe again. Not for Mateo, but for herself. She returned to crafting beadwork, to singing morning prayers, to tending the small garden she had neglected. Mateo became a quiet presence, not a demand, not a shadow, but a steady warmth on the horizon. Slowly, the walls around her heart began to lower, not through romance, but through recognition. She was still whole, even in her brokenness. One afternoon, Tala approached him first. "Walk with me," she said simply. They hiked up the ridge where Atsa used to take her. Tala expected the climb to hurt, to reopen old wounds. Instead, she felt something surprising relief. She placed her palm on a sun-warmed rock and whispered a prayer into the wind. "Thank you," she said softly. Mateo wasn't sure if she meant him or the land or the memory of her husband, but her voice carried peace for the first time since they'd met. As summer began to fade, Tala realized something profound. Love wasn't a cage she needed to escape from, nor a debt she owed. It was a choice, a slow, careful, deliberate choice. One evening, as they watched the sky paint itself in shades of fire, she turned to him. "Mateo," she said gently, "I'm not ready for anything more than friendship, but I'd like to keep walking with you. If that's something you want." Mateo smiled, a slow, sincere curve of the lips. "That's all I ever wanted, to walk beside you, not ahead." "Not behind," Tala breathed out long and steady, as if releasing a weight she had carried alone for far too long.